How do you do, fellow kids? This is Five of Clubs, and today, I may end up having to eat a bit of crow by the end of this episode. Viewers of the channel are likely familiar by now that I really enjoy boss battler games. Kingdom Death Monster, Townsfolk Tussle, Vagrant Song, Aeon Trespass Odyssey, and so on. My eyes can't help but be pulled to just about any game which boasts that tantalizing boss battler buzzword, because there ain't nothing I enjoy more in board games than bosses and battles. As such, back in 2020, I became aware of a new spin on the so-called complex AI boss battler formula through the Kickstarter pitch for Primal the Awakening, which centers its combat around card play rather than dice checks. I'm a huge fan of card-based combat games like Sentinels of the Multiverse, Marvel Champions, and Aeon's End, so the idea of mixing deck play elements into the core combat for a complex AI boss battler sounded like a novel idea. I was further intrigued when I noticed the familiar trappings of a Kingdom Death adjacent boss battling game. Square-shaped gear cards, crafting tables on minimalist stylized rectangular sheets, the structure of a multi-session campaign, and the promise of epic tactical encounters against massive monsters. Obviously, I was sold and went all in right there and then. Right?
No.
Well, not quite. I was certainly intrigued, but then I saw the board.
You serious?
And I guess I wasn't the only one who had an adverse reaction to this design choice. I saw forum posts and comments galore expressing criticism of the game's board structure, wherein there are essentially 4 cardinal spaces which heroes can occupy, and the boss simply rotates in the middle like a record. Many of the critical voices who didn't like this design appeared to take issue with 3 common aspects from the Kickstarter pitch and the demo playthrough videos. For starters, the rotary boss that remains firmly in the center of the board gave the impression that the boss felt immobile and ground-locked, rather than feeling like a boss that thrashes its way across an open battlefield.
What's he doing?
He's just standing there, menacingly!
I think this feeling was exacerbated by the fact that the demo dragon fight failed to demonstrate any illusion of flight during the whole battle, as though the dragon simply forgot about its massive wings. This led some critics to feel that the massive miniatures were essentially glorified compass arrows, culminating in a feeling that the bulky boss miniatures weren't utilized in a sufficient manner to justify the hefty price increase they added to the game's production cost. People who felt this way noted that they would have preferred a cheaper cardboard spinner alternative, and honestly I felt the same way myself. With this rigid board structure, it was difficult for some to envision a realistically large design space for the game, despite the claims that each of the bosses and stage setups would supposedly feel vastly different. The minimal board design also caused some people to feel that the board elements, 1 terrain token per quadrant in the demo gameplay, were muted and unimpressive compared to other games, leading some to conclude that Primal the Awakening was essentially an overproduced card game burdened with a board game's price tag.
That's like a baby's toy.
Baby's toy. It appears this feeling was exacerbated by the fact that the card play structure bears notable similarities to Marvel Champions, a cooperative superhero boss battling game, which was already available to buy at the time and, even including all its expansions up to that point, still fell shy of the asking price for Primal the Awakening. This conflux of perception issues kept clusters of potential backers from jumping in to back it, including me. Indeed, I let the game go by without so much as a penny pledged to the project. A blasphemous thought given that it had the magic boss battler moniker that usually has me reaching for my wallet out of Pavlovian reflex. At the time, I didn't realize the potential value in pledging $1 to reserve access to the pledge manager just in case I changed my mind about the project, though realistically I didn't imagine I would be likely to change my mind about the game. It wasn't that I disliked the game necessarily. It had some interesting ideas going for it, but those ideas came with trade-offs that failed to justify the asking price to me when I already had Townsfolk Tussle, Aeon Trespass, Oathsworn, and Kingdom Death's Gambler's Chest seemingly delivering around the same time Primal would. Despite reservations from potential backers like me, the project still managed to raise over $2 million, so it blew far past its original funding goal. While I thought I'd successfully dismissed the game from my mental radar, I found myself checking back in on it every few months to see if it had released yet or what people thought about the game. Clearly, echoes of the ideas I liked about the game still held some degree of my subconscious interest. Had I unfairly dismissed the game before giving it a fair chance? Would my original impressions of the game be proven wrong with a playthrough or two? Have I been haunted by the specter of this game because my psyche caught a glimpse of glory in the game that my conscious mind overlooked? Perhaps some of you have passed on this project as well and have similar wonders about the game yourself. Well, given that the game has a tabletop simulator demo available, I thought we could put that to the test. Now that we're well beyond the Kickstarter hype and hurry, perhaps I can come to a more informed opinion about the game. And, given that late pledges are still being accepted at the time of this recording, it's not too late if I do end up changing my mind. So let's load it up and give it a go after a quick game overview. Primal the Awakening is a 1 to 4 player cooperative boss battling game that tasks groups of heroes with working together to take down hulking monsters. Play alternates between hero and monster phases for a duration of 10 total rounds. If the heroes are all defeated, or if the 10th round concludes while the monster is still alive, the heroes lose the scenario. If the heroes manage to defeat all 3 stages of the monster before that 10-round timer expires, the heroes win. Each player assumes the role of a preset hero archetype, a great swordsman, a great bowmaster, a warhammerman, or a sword and shieldsman, which each come with their own deck of abilities and internal mechanics. Each hero also comes equipped with a preset starting gear set, consisting of a weapon card, a helm card, an armor card, and a potion card, though player boards also show additional gear slots for more goodies to be earned later on. There's also a starting mastery card that doesn't occupy a board slot, but we'll talk a little more about that later. Your helm and armor cards both have health point values printed in the bottom right corner, which will be added together to determine your hero's maximum health value for the encounter. For instance, with the starting basic set here, I'd add the printed 5 and 3 values on these cards to determine my total health pool of 8 health points. Your potion grants you a one-time consume ability that allows you to recover some health points, though the timing in which you choose to use it may dictate how effective it is. Interestingly, your weapon card not only defines your innate weapon damage and offers you a special ability, but it also defines the card constraints of your personal player deck. In this prologue fight, players will have predetermined starter decks containing 6 cards from each of the colored suits: red, blue, green, and yellow. Though players will be able to customize their deck contents throughout the campaign as they unlock additional cards and weapons. For example, if the Hammerman had this upgraded weapon card, his new deck construction limits would differ from those listed on the starting Warhammer card, allowing him fewer cards overall, but a more focused deck that aims to capitalize on the new weapon's abilities. Gameplay revolves around cards drawn and played from each hero's unique deck. Players will usually have a hand of 5 cards to work with each round, and each card hosts different colors, costs, and abilities. Starting at the top, each player card has an associated color from one of the 4 color suits, and these colors resolve specific functions when played. Red attack cards will deal your weapon's printed damage value when they enter play. Blue maneuver cards will remove a blue struggle token from the boss board when played. And both green and yellow cards will provide you with defense against the boss's attrition damage check at the end of your turn. These basic functions don't tend to be all that cards can do, so you'll likely want to read each card in full to get an idea of what the card will do in total. For instance, while blue cards normally let you remove 1 struggle token, this blue card's text will actually allow you to remove 2. Once you've determined the card's color suit, you'll also see a white numeral icon in the top left corner of the card. This indicates the stamina cost required to play the card and resolve its abilities. While some cards have a 0 stamina cost, allowing you to play them for free, most cards have stamina costs ranging from 1 to 3. Stamina is a resource that is generated by discarding hero cards with these white drop icons in the bottom left corner of the card from your hand, generally ignoring the other abilities and effects listed on the cards when doing so. For example, if I have these 2 cards in my hand, I may opt to discard the first card for its stamina value of 1, allowing me to put the 1 stamina card here in play. You're also allowed to discard multiple cards at once to generate multiple stamina points. For instance, if I had a hand like this and I wanted to play this beefy 3 stamina card, I can either pay for it by discarding this card with 2 stamina drops and another with 1, or I could discard these 3 single stamina drops to pay that price. Once its stamina cost is paid, I put the card into play and resolve its color suitability plus any applicable printed abilities. You'll also notice some italicized keywords on certain cards in the game, and these indicate keywords which denote special potential functions. There are a small slew of these, but rather than front-load the overview with breakdowns for each one, I figure we can just talk about them as they come up during gameplay. Aside from playing cards, heroes may also spend 1 stamina on the move action, which allows that hero to move their figure to an adjacent quadrant. Interestingly, the decision to move has to be made at the start of your turn before you decide to play any cards, which was a bit tough to get used to at first. There are multiple times when moving comes in handy, like when you want to get out of the targeting range of an expected attack, or get into range from which you can attack the monster, or perhaps to capitalize on the benefits of the terrain features in another sector. If you choose not to move, you'll gain a threatened token, which will cause you to draw 2 attrition cards to keep the highest one when resolving attrition checks. Attrition checks, which represent the constant threat of injury when grappling with your feral quarry, occur at the end of your turn after you're done playing cards for that turn. Simply draw the top card, or 2 cards if you're threatened, from the attrition deck and compare the numerical value of that card to the number of defense cards you've played that turn. If your defense symbols match or exceed the attrition card value, you're good to go. If not, your hero suffers the attrition damage value listed on the monster's current stance card. After that, play proceeds to the next hero turn, or, if all players have taken a turn this round, play proceeds to the monster turn. Monsters actually get the first turn in a round, but I thought it made more sense to talk about the hero portion first to provide proper context for the monster stuff. Monsters have a variety of abilities and features that will work to disrupt the hero's plans and batter them senseless. Monster turns themselves are actually super easy to resolve in this game. Simply give the monster a number of blue struggle tokens equal to the number of heroes in play. Then discard the lowest value behavior AI card from the monster board and replace it with the next behavior card from the monster's deck. Struggle tokens are like a form of energy currency that the monster uses to buff itself. Certain behavior AI cards have a white section at the bottom which grants additional effects if the monster can pay the struggle token cost listed there. If a monster manages to build up 10 of these struggle tokens, it will immediately discard half of them to resolve an unleash attack, dealing its attrition damage value to all heroes in play. As you might imagine, those blue hero cards come in handy for helping keep the monster's struggle token pool in check. As far as the behavior AI cards are concerned, they're similar to hit location cards in other boss battle games, except that these cards are only triggered by specific types of conditions, some of which aren't even related to hits at all. Each behavior card will have a special symbol on its back, which dictates what condition causes the behavior card to be resolved. Some behavior cards are triggered when your heroes play a card of a matching color, others are played pursuant to heroes' positioning relative to the monster, and others still have action-agnostic conditions like triggering at the end of the round. After a behavior card is resolved, discard that card and replace it with the top behavior card from the monster's deck. There are only 9 behavior cards in the monster's deck, at least for the prologue monster, which means you are able to get familiar with the monster's abilities as you fight it more and more. Also, since you have full visibility of the 3 behavior cards in play and the next one on deck, you'll eventually learn which triggers do what and can plan your turn accordingly. But don't be fooled into a false sense of comfort by this. Indeed, just because you know a missile is coming your way doesn't mean you'll always have what you need to avoid it. But that's not all. The monster will also come equipped with a series of special cards that remain in play along the bottom of the boss board. Each of the 3 stages of the boss are characterized by an equivalent stance and peril card, which represents the monster's vulnerable locations as well as an ongoing tactic that the monster will use against you. For example, in Stage 1 of the prologue dragon boss, its stance indicates that heroes can only play red attack cards from either the dragon's front or back quadrant, but not from the flanking quadrants on the sides. For comparison, the Stage 2 stance allows us to attack from any quadrant other than the front, so the monster's vulnerable areas may change throughout the course of the game. Complementing those changing stances, the monster's passive peril card tactics may change throughout the game as well. In stance number 1, the monster's peril card will cause the dragon to nibble on any heroes in the front section each time a behavior card is resolved, unless they have a yellow defense card in their hand of cards. Naturally, since the monster isn't vulnerable from the front sector in its second stage, the Stage 2 peril card offers a new effect to replace the former. The monster will start the game with Stance 1 and Peril 1 during its first stage, but once you deal enough damage to knock the monster to Stage 2, the Stage 1 Stance and Peril cards will be discarded and newly revealed Stage 2 Stance and Peril cards will be in play from then on. But it's not all dour news. The boss's third card slot will contain a special objective card, which offers the heroes a chance at exploiting a weakness of the monster. In the demo fight here, this objective allows us to build up counters on this card whenever we attack the monster from the rear sector. And when the 4th counter is added to this card, in a 2-player playthrough anyway, the monster suffers 10 damage. Each hero will also have their own mini objective as well via their mastery card. All heroes will have one mastery card for their weapon class with a printed condition for placing counters on that card. Once you build up counters on that card equal to the numerical value listed here at the top, you'll be able to flip the card over to its mastered side, which grants your hero powerful new abilities to help your hero finish off their foe. And that's about the gist of it. I didn't cover every little rule and exception, but this should suffice to get you familiar enough to follow along with what's going on. Now, let's show it all in motion. And the stage of battle is just about set for our epic showdown against the vicious Vyraxen PNG here. Yes, we have PNG standees representing our combatants today. Of course, the final game will ship with big, beautiful gray miniatures and whatnot, but we get to enjoy the full Technicolor glory of this beast. This is the Vyraxen, and the flavor text says, "Liquid fire flows through Vyraxen veins. It is the blood of the Woltiar, father of all dragons." Pretty intense there. And of course, our combatants today, we have the bow mistress Mira over here, whose bow is cocked, target's locked, and she's ready to rock. So there we go. And we have Mr. Thoreg over here with a big beefy bonker in his hand. I love that the guy with the hammer has Thor in his name. Very good. Very, very good. All right, let's go ahead and set up the villain board. We shuffle this deck. We take 3 of these cards right into these 3 slots. We have one card that will trigger when another behavior card is triggered, so it's going to make a cascade there. We have one that triggers when someone will play a red card, and we have one that triggers when someone starts their turn in the tail or the rear sector. So there we go. Let's give our heroes some cards as well. Oh, she shouldn't have that. There we go. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Perfect. One nice rule about this game is you do have an optional mulligan. You can mulligan, well, really, you can choose not to mulligan if you don't want to, or you can mulligan any number of cards from hand and then redraw from your deck. So sometimes cards might be less useful at the start of the game, like maybe this one, and maybe this one. Maybe I'll get rid of both of those right there, and I'll just draw replacements here. So you draw from the top, there's 1, and there's 2. And you have to work with whatever you have remaining there. So there we go. Same drill with Mr. Thoreg. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see. Let's discard that one. This one is really good later in the game. Draw cards equal to the number of struggle tokens on the monster. Early game, he doesn't tend to have a whole lot, so not amazing there. This Iron Stance is pretty good, but you need a blue for it to work, and I don't have any blues, and I'm not sure I'll be able to draw them from a 2-card mulligan, so let's maybe just put that back and worry about it later. Let's do 3 cards. Oh, of course, there's the blue. All right, shuffle, shuffle. We have what we need, and now it's time to begin. Monster goes first. This is round 1 right here. We have to beat this monster before the end of round 10, or that's it. We lose. 2 struggle tokens go into the monster right here in a 2-hero playthrough. And normally, you would actually discard the lowest numbered behavior card in the spread here. So this 3, for instance, would be discarded and the next card would come in to replace it. But it does say to skip that step on the very first round, so we are going to skip it. All right. Now it's time for us to go. And in order to determine the first player, it's whoever has the aggro token. This is assigned arbitrarily at the beginning of the game. Normally, I like Thoreg to start with it, but this time it worked out that Mira started out with it. What it determines is not only first player, but it also determines sort of the dragon's target of interest. So he looks at us and he decides an order of who he wants to really focus on. And right now, I don't know, maybe he's not liking how pointy her arrows are looking, perhaps. So he's decided she is the threat of interest right now. Now, this token will pass between the characters throughout the course of play. For instance, if I were to play a card with this red aggro symbol right here for its printed effect, then he would inherit the aggro token going forward. Okay. All right, first thing we have to do is we have to decide if we want to move. Now, if we don't move, we'll get the threatened token, which means when we check attrition, we draw 2 cards, keep the highest one, basically meaning it's, you know, you have a higher likelihood of drawing higher cards that are tougher to defend against. So I think it makes sense to move. We could move either to the right or the left here. If we move to the right, we end up in this place with the Syracuse plant, which according to the rulebook, when you play an attack card, which is one of the red ones, if there is a Syracuse terrain in your sector, deal additional damage to the monster equal to your weapon level. So there you go. So if you play red card, you get to deal... I mean, we only have level 1 weapons, so, you know, it's just 1 additional damage. But over the course of the game, that can add up over time. And this brush drain's a little more complicated. If you move into a place with brush or start your turn there, you can actually place your miniature inside the brush to hide. And basically what happens then is you almost do like a timeout on your turn. You say timeout, and then you pick another hero, let's say Thorag in this case. Then Thorag would resolve his turn normally, as though I'd ended my turn, but I really haven't. Because at the end of Thorag's turn, like maybe he... I let him go, he moves over here, he does something to inherit the aggro token, and then he ends his turn. Well, at the end of the turn, the monster's going to turn to face the aggro target, leaving the back open for Miss Mira to emerge from the bush, finish her turn, and maybe start hitting at the tail, for instance. So, different strategic uses that you can utilize there. Right, but I think it is time to move. I think we will move. I think... we will discard this called shot card, and we're going to have her move over there, but not into the bush, actually. Well, I don't know. Let me think. How can he can earn it by doing that, huh? No, actually, I think I'm going to leave the back open for him instead. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I'm actually just going to move over here. Now, I can't actually play red attack cards from the flanks because... this stance card indicates that flanks are not able to have attack cards played. I guess the idea is that, like maybe its wings are tucked back or something. They're out of a range that we can easily attack them from. Something like that. And you know what's crazy? Because I have mostly red hand, and I don't really want to use this card right now, I'm actually just going to call my turn done at that. Now, of course, you might be going, well, wait a minute. Doesn't that mean when you check attrition, aren't you basically just, like, guaranteed you're going to be hit? Probably. Yep, it's a 2. So, we do not have any defense symbols against that, so we take some damage. We don't actually take the damage equal to the difference of our defense in this number. We actually take the attrition damage no matter what. So, that attrition damage on the stance card is 1. It's just 1 damage. I'm not that worried about it because this plant back here is the Baythanis plant. If you start your turn in the sector with the Baythanis plant, you get 1 free point of healing. So, we can make up for that loss of health right now. I'd rather be prepared for a future turn. I have found that this game generally rewards those who are patient, it seems. So, there we go. Alright, then you would discard cards. If you have 2 or more cards in hand at the end of when you're done playing cards, you will actually get a stamina token. Now, this does what you might expect. You can discard this in place of a stamina to help pay for a card, or maybe to move, something like that. Now, unfortunately, this game does not reward frugality with your cards. So I can't, like, okay, well, I'm going to end every turn I can with 2 or more cards, and then build up, like, a wide spread of these and just have, like, amazing turns. No, you're only able to have 1 stamina token at a time, so keep that in mind when you're doing your mental math. Alright, draw back up to 5, and then play proceeds over here to Mr. Thorag after the dragon turns to face Miss Mira. So there we go. Alright, well, Mr. Thorag, I think... let's see. Well, first thing we got to do is we have to move. So let's discard this 1 stamina card. We're going to move right over here to the CRK plant. And of course, you may recall, that's the plant that when we attack this beast from behind, we'll be able to get additional damage. So I suppose let's discard this green card. Well, actually, let me take a quick peek over here for just a second. Let's do this instead first. So you see this little bolded keyword here that says assist? That means that this is a card I can use the assist feature with. So normally she can't play cards or do anything outside of her own turn. But this particular keyword, the assist keyword, allows you to discard a card to let a friendly character or hero draw a card. So it gives him an extra card to work with. Now, the benefit to doing that right now, of course, sometimes it'll help him if he's just 1 currency shy of what he wants to do. But this particular one wants to be in the discard pile. Look at this. At the start of your turn, if Perfected Stretch is on top of your discard pile, draw 2. So right now, at the start of her next turn, with this being there, she's going to get to draw 2, which helps her tear through her deck. And the reason we want to do that is because her mastery ability is unlocked when we draw the last card from her deck. So we actually want to tear through that deck quicker rather than slower. So there we go. Gave him an extra card here to work with. Ah, interesting. Disruption. Okay. Let's try this. Let's discard this green impetus card. We're going to discard it for its 2 stamina. And we are going to play Heavy Smash. Here we go. Alright, this will inherit us the aggro token for one thing. It's going to let us deal damage to the monster equal to the damage printed here, which is 3 plus 1 for the CRK plant. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 damage there. We are actually playing a red card attacking from the rear sector, so we're going to get 1 token on there. We're 1/4 of the way done with that. And it also has a secondary effect as well. Remove 1 struggle token, or if we were in our mastery mode, we'd remove 3 struggle tokens. In order to get to his mastery mode, we have to stun the monster. When you stun the monster, place a counter on the card. When there are 2 of those, then we're able to flip him into his beast mode. So, very cool. Alright, now that we have done that, we want to discard one of these. And it's now time to resolve some reactions, because unfortunately we did play an attack against this monster. Quick Aggression, Claw. The active player suffers 1 damage unless they have a yellow card in their sequence. And it does have 1 struggle token, so it's going to discard this token to boost the effect by making it 2 damage. Okay. So I don't have a yellow in my sequence, which is my list of my string of played cards right now. I didn't have a yellow to do anyway, but in any case, that means it's going to be 2 damage coming to us from that. And unfortunately, we are also going to resolve this one because this card just resolved. So let's flip this over. Flamethrower, Firestorm. Place a fire terrain in the front sector. It doesn't have any boost, it doesn't have any struggle tokens to discard to buff this effect. So that's absolutely fine. Alright, a few things are going to happen here. Well, actually, let me mention this as well. I was very confused at first when I first started playing, because I thought this effect is what Firestorm meant. I just happened to see this card pretty early on, and I was very confused by that. Because other cards in the game also list Firestorm, but they don't remind you what Firestorm actually means. So I was like, do you have to just remember that Firestorm means place a fire token in the front sector? Is that what it is? I went to the rulebook to look, and Firestorm is also not defined there, so I wasn't quite sure. Yeah, it turns out there are certain keywords that are not in the keyword section in the rulebook, and what those tend to do is, like, generally the deck that they're from explains what they do. So, like, right now, we don't know what to do with Firestorm, but later in the scenario, something will happen, and the effect of that will be explained. So, for right now, it's something we don't have to worry about. But just something to keep in mind. Now, the front sector right now is actually Mira over here. So, the fire is going to come into Mira's space. There we go. He put fire there. The rulebook says fire burns brush, so the brush tile is gone. We didn't get to utilize it, but that's okay. And as far as what fire does, in most games like this, fire just means, like, you take extra fire damage for being in a space of fire. I'm kind of glad that the developers here didn't go with that design. Instead, what it does is it stops you from being able to play cards. So, if, like, Thorag was in the front, right, and the monster put fire in his space, that ends his turn, basically, because he won't be able to play additional cards, even if he wants to. You'll have to get out of a space with fire in order to play cards. At the end of the round, the fire will weaken to a yellow state, and then, at the end of the next round, the fire will leave. So it's not permanent, but it is something that can trip you up sometimes if the monster does it midway through your turn. It worked out okay because he put the fire into the space with Mira. She's already taken her turn this round. So, next round she's probably going to start her turn by moving, and then she'll be out of the fire, so she's good to go on that. Alright, so Flamethrower, Vyraxen, there you go. Okay. Alright, so now we have a card that triggers on green, one that triggers at the end of the round, and one that triggers if you start your turn in the tail spot. Alright, so we bonked this beast, and now, actually, there's no red cards up here, so there's no penalty for playing another attack, and I think I will. I'm going to discard Thrusting here, which gives us 3 stamina here. It only costs 2 to play it, but I think it's going to be worth it. So one unfortunate thing here is when you discard Thrusting from hand, like paying it for stamina, take a Strain token. So that's one of these tokens right here. And as you can see here, it has the -1 card symbol. So instead of filling back up to 5 cards, I only get to fill up to 4. So that's not as great. But overall, though, I think this is going to work out for us in the long run to our benefit. I now have the aggro token because of this card. But let's go ahead and play Knockout. So we're going to deal our weapon damage, which is +1 thanks to the CRK. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to put a second token right down here on this card. Very good. And additionally, this ability says if you played a red card previous to this one, you resolve Stun and Confuse. So stun lets you place a stun token right here on one of these cards. You basically get to pretend, or rather, that card can't be played this round. So I'm going to throw it right here on the end of round card. I don't want this to trigger. So this stun is going to block it from triggering because this particular symbol specifically states at the end of the round before resolving other effects, do this, which means that this card would try to trigger itself before the stun token actually leaves play. So I'm going to go ahead and slap it there, but that's not all. The other thing it does is it takes a peek at, you get to pick another hero and look at the number of red cards they have in hand. And for each red card they have in hand, you deal your weapon level damage to the monster. Not your weapon's base damage, but the weapon level. So this level 1 weapon, that's going to deal 2 bonus damage to the monster. 1, 2. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and last but not least, of course, because we stunned the monster, let's throw a token right here on Massive Blow. So we have 1 out of the 2 tokens we need to stun this beast into oblivion. But there's one other thing we have to do. Confuse. Now, Confuse lets you discard AI cards from the deck here, or from play. So I'm going to discard this tail one, and you get to do it for 2 cards. So that's 1 card. Now I can discard any of these. I don't really want to discard this because we have the stun token on it, so that'd be kind of a waste. So I'm going to discard this red one right here. There we go. And now we have the mouthpiece right here. We have one that responds when you play a green, and this one that won't respond, at least not this round. So there we go. All right, perfect. So we're halfway to filling this out, but look at this. This worked out really well. When the active player plays a double red in their sequence, 1, 2, that's 2 reds right there, you may discard Disruption, this card, to stun the monster. Look at this. We get to discard this card right here to just stun the monster. So we get to put the stun token on another stun token on another monster card. So here we go. Maybe this one right here shouldn't be too bad. And we get to deal an additional 2 damage because we have 2 red cards over here. Perfect. 1 and 2. All right. But guess what? That's the second stun. So since we stunned the monster twice, we're going into beast mode, everybody. Woo! There we go. Massive Blow. And these abilities take place, and they're permanent for the rest of the game. Whenever I play a blue card, deal your weapon damage to the monster.
That is crazy.
That is awesome. Because normally you deal your weapon damage to the monster by playing red cards, right? Well, by playing blue cards, you get to do it. And notice, this right here, the rulebook specifically states, the stance means that you can only play attack cards from these sections right there. Sorry, actually, when I was saying that, I got so excited, I started to doubt myself and my understanding of the rules. So before I completely destroyed the integrity of this playthrough, I wanted to just double check on that. So for what? Yes. So if you play blue cards, you deal your weapon damage to the monster. That's different than needing to be in one of these sections to do it, because that actually dictates where you play attack cards. So blue cards are called maneuver cards. Also, if you play a blue and then a red, you get to resolve stun again. Our favorite stun. We really like that one. Okay. Now, of course, we didn't play any defense this round, so this attrition check is probably not going to go well for us. But overall, I think this was a pretty darn productive turn. So it's probably okay. Yep, there's a 1. We're going to fail that. There is technically a 0 in this deck here, and I was hoping maybe we might draw it, but no such luck. We'll take 1 damage there. We may have to go visit Baythanis land over there sooner rather than later, but overall, not an incredibly terrible thing. Let's see. Now, one thing that is jumping to my brain is I may have forgot to resolve Dreadful Jaws here. When I resolved these cards over here. No, not that one. I think, yeah, these 2 cards over here, I forgot to resolve Dreadful Jaws. So, Dreadful Jaws, just to remind you, when a behavior card is triggered, players in the front sector reveal a yellow card from hand or suffer 1 damage. So, that's in the front sector is Miss Mira. Just to show you, though, she does actually have a yellow card. And it says reveal it from hand, which just means to show the other players you have it. You don't have to discard it or play it or anything like that. So, she's good to go on that, but I did want to make sure that we kept our playthrough honest here, right? All right, last but not least, let's go ahead and discard our 2 cards here, right there. And we will draw up to 4 cards because of that strain token. And once we resolve it, you discard the strain token and you're good to go. Okay. Right, and then last but not least, of course, at the very end of his turn, the dragon turns to face Thorag because he now has the aggro token. It's the end of the round, everybody. So, end of the round effects are going to occur. For one thing, this fire is flipping to its yellow side. This would resolve, but the stun is blocking it. So, stun is going to expire at the end of the round. There we go. And then we will continue on to round 2. All right. Round 2, here we go. 2 tokens coming to our big beastie here. Let me go ahead and stack those back up. And then we get rid of the lowest one. Obviously, the lowest marker here is going to be this green card there. So, there it is. That's that. And then at the start of the turn for the next hero, guess what? They're getting maunched. So, poor Thoreg is getting bit. First, the behavior card is triggered, so it's going to try and check his hand for any yellows. He doesn't have any yellows. So, guess what? Nom 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 nom. Yep, he got bit. Ah, those dreadful jaws. They are dreadful indeed. And let's see what happens here. I didn't notice that my first playthrough. Freightful Growl. Yes, I guess the Vyraxen is from the train family. Of dragons. No, maybe that's just an alternative spelling of frightful that I'm just not familiar with as a silly American. But, or it could be a typo, I guess. Not really quite sure. Vyraxen suffers gains 4 struggle tokens. Well, there we go. So he's getting 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Vyraxen gains attrition damage +1 till the end of the round. Now, that is not great. So, whenever someone fails an attrition check, they're taking 2 damage this round instead of 1. Oof, we may have to pay a little more attention and care as far as resolving those correctly. Alright, well, I guess it's the beginning of his turn, and as such, we need to decide if we want to move. I think we should move, so I'm going to discard this, and we're going to skedaddle over here to the Bathanis plant. Yes, we are hoping it might be able to assist us. Yes. Now, we do have leverage here, which is a green card, which will give us defense. Draw cards equal to the number of struggle tokens on the monster. Right now, the monster has quite a few of them. So if we were to play this card, we'd get to draw 5 cards, and I think that's great. So we will actually discard this blue card. As much as I love this card, we're going to discard it because it does pay for the 3 costs we need over here. So, goodbye blue. Here we go. Coming in green. Draw cards equal to the number of struggle tokens up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. Oh, and of course, because that resolved while we were in the front, let's not forget. Oh, wait, we did. Never mind. Haha. I almost tripped myself up there. Yes, we already did resolve that. Okay, we now have quite a hand of stuff to work with. Wow. Oh, man, we even have the Whirlwind. This is a 0-cost card. It's a blue, so we're going to deal some damage. But look at this. If we play 2 red cards after it, we get to deal an additional 4 damage on top of whatever damage they want to do. Wow. Ooh, man, I don't know that I can afford to do all of that. So I think I won't do that just yet. Also, I'm kind of afraid of taking a whole bunch more damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let Whirlwind go. No. No, I don't think so. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I am. Alright, I'm going to let Whirlwind go, and I'm actually going to use it to pay for Iron Stance here, which is a yellow card. Draw 1. If you paid with a blue, draw 2 instead. Oh, but before I forget... oh, no, I didn't play it. Good. Yep, draw 2 instead. So we get to draw 2 more cards. Here we go. Cards, cards, and cards galore. Right. I think we're pretty good on defense. I'm feeling pretty good about that. So... I don't know. We can't attack from right here. Not with this, anyway. We could attack by playing a blue card if we wanted to. But I don't think it's really worth it. I think instead...
2 hours later.
You know what? Actually, I think I'm going to stop right there. I'm set up for like a good turn on the next go. But I think I'm actually going to stop right there. I'm feeling pretty good about the 2 defense here. Okay. Alright, well, I guess that's it. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the attrition damage. Oh, of course it's the 0. Of course it is, because we were so responsible. But it's okay. It's not the worst thing. Alright, discarding those 2 cards right there. And actually, we have to discard 1 card to get down to our next... we have to discard down because their hand side is 5. So, I guess what I'll do is discard this green right there. There we go. Okay. And then right over here, he's going to turn to face my character over there, Mr. Thoreg. And Miss Mira gets to go here. Now, she is 1 card shy, but remember, we put Perfected Stretch on the top, so 2 cards coming into hand. Perfect. She has to move. I think we're going to use Fighting Edge. When you discard Fighting Edge from hand, draw a card. We're going to discard it. We are going to skedaddle right here into the back side there, and we're drawing a card to replace Fighting Edge. Okay. Heavy Shot here. It costs 1, but if you pay 3 extra stamina for Heavy Shot, you deal an additional 5 damage, which is amazing. Wow. Let's see. To play Wide Opportunity, choose an ally to discard a card from hand. You know what? That's not horrible. No, that's not horrible at all. Okay, so actually, I'm going to start with Wide Opportunity. It has the aim and stealth keywords. We haven't done a whole lot with the aim yet, but the stealth is really important. So you see that this has a red card up here. Normally, if we play this red card, we're going to be flipping that red card. But if you play a card with stealth, like this one, then you actually don't trigger any corresponding cards up here. So I think that's a good idea. So she's going to play this. He has to discard a card to pay for it. I suppose he could discard maybe this one. There we are. And the reason I picked that, I was thinking the yellow, but actually, in case she does end up resolving some cards, we want him to have yellow so that he doesn't get his face chewed off by the peril card, right? Okay, so she's played this card. That's going to let her deal 2 damage here to the boss. 1, 2. That's going to let her put a 3rd token on the objective card. So if we do 1 more, then that objective is complete, and we're in good shape. Okay. And then there's one other thing. Of course, we would normally resolve the card at this point. This card over here, but we are in stealth, so we're good to go. One other thing we get to do is volley 2, right here. For this red symbol, we get to volley 2, which means that we discard the top 2 cards of our deck, and for any reds that we would discard, we get to do this damage. Even in a case like this, where we didn't end up getting any cards there, it helps us get through this deck quicker, gets us closer to getting to burst, right? So, not too shabby, in my opinion. Okay. Let's see what else we want to do. I think to draw a card. He's 1 card shy. That would be kind of nice, wouldn't it? Let's pay our stamina token to play this yellow right here. Here we go. Choose a player to draw a card. We're going to let Mr. Thoreg draw a card. Look at that. He got the Sledgehammer card. Very good. All right. And then the other thing we are going to do, I think, is play Heavy Shot. And I would have to pay 4 stamina for it to do the really beast mode thing, but that's okay. Ah, but look at this. When you play a defense card, you may recycle reload from your hand. We just played a defense card, so let's recycle it, which means we discard that card and draw a replacement, just in case it changes what we want to do. It doesn't look like it did in this case, and that's just fine. Let's just do this card, and let's just have it be for its 1 cost right there. And I think as far as what we want to commit, we could pay with long range to put this on top of the discard pile so that we don't suffer damage from attrition. But I don't think we already have 1. I'm guessing that what's coming next is, well, I guess there's still such a large deck. She's healthy enough. I'm going to suspect that the next card is in fact a 1. So we're going to take a gamble on that. Okay, so we're going to discard Midair Shot. We are going to play Heavy Shot right here. Here we go. That's going to deal its damage right here, which is 2, and then it'll resolve volley 2 as well. But look at this. 1, 2. That puts the 4th token right here on the Let's Hit the Tail, meaning we get to deal 10 damage to this monster right now. Now, you might be going, oh, well, there's only 2. Do you lose the damage in between? No, you don't. It carries over. So, these 2 go to 0, which leaves 8 into the next phase here, which is 24. 24 minus 8 is 16. So, he's going to be having 16 health. There we go for phase 2. Now, phase 2 involves removing the Stance 1 and Peril 1 cards to reveal the next ones, which sometimes, like this, have a when revealed effect. Vyraxen gains 2 struggle tokens, so he's going to get a few more of those blue baddies right there. Ugh, yikes. And additionally, this new effect here, when a behavior card with the Firestorm trait is triggered, immediately place fire terrain in the front sector. So now we know what to do when we see the Firestorm keyword. Alright, now whether I remember to do it when we see it is another story, I guess. Well, I'll do my very, very best. Alright, perfect. So she shot that monster in the butt, and now it's time to resolve this card here. Quick Aggression, Claw. The active player suffers 1 damage unless they have a yellow card in their sequence, and it's going to be a bonus damage. So 2 damage for yellow card in sequence. We did play the yellow. We're good to go. Perfect. All right. Unfortunately, that token it just spent's coming right back to it because he just reshuffled his deck, and now I have green, blue, and end of round here. Okay. Is there anything else I'd like to do? I don't think so. Oh, of course, I needed to... Oh, no, I was hanging on to that. That's right. Well, we have 2 cards left in hand, so we are going to get a stamina token right there. We're going to reveal what the attrition card is. Oh, and of course, it's the 3. So, honestly, even if we... I guess this would have been the right call, but how was I to know that the 3 was next? So, there we go. In this new stance, it sometimes will have a different level of attrition damage. It's still a 1, but let's not forget it has +1 damage right there. So, 2 damage coming to us. Not great. Not great. Okay, discard the cards, draw back up to 5, and then we'll be good to go. 3, 4, and 5. All right, end of the round. Fire is going away, and this timed ability is going to activate. Vyraxen Assault with the Claw keyword. Players in the front sector immediately move, or they suffer 1 damage. Okay. Now, actually, I should have swapped the aggro token over to her, because Heavy Shot does inherit the aggro token, so he is facing our dear friend here. So, which means, in order for us to get out of the way, poor Miss Mira has to pay a 2 stamina card in order to dodge it. She has 1. It's one that I really like, though. I'm gonna take the damage, and I'll tell you why in just a bit. Alright, so we took the damage from that. We're not moving. And then Vyraxen turns to the player with the least amount of defense cards in hand. He has 1. I'm guessing it's him. She has 4. Yeah, so he's going to turn right over there. There we go. Okay. There we go. There we go. Perfect. It's the monster's turn. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's getting 2 struggle tokens. 9 and 10. This is thankfully done because it only lasts till the end of the round. We're in round 3 now. Now, because he's reached 10 tokens, he is going to do his Unleash ability, which sometimes these cards will tell you an alternative version of the Unleash ability. But for default, if it doesn't tell you, then you just discard your tokens down to half, and he deals his attrition damage to both targets. So that's going to do 1 there and 1 there. Now, at the start of the monster turn, we could have chosen to drink our potion here. Choose a player in your sector to heal 2. If the attrition value of the topmost card is discard pile is 1 or fewer, heal 4 instead. Well, that's a 3, so we really want to, if we can at all possible, we would really like to get a 1 or a 0 up there, and then we'll drink our potions. But for right now, not interested in that. We have enough health, I think, that we'll be okay. Alright, so we have given him his tokens. It caused him to do his Unleash, and now we have to discard one of these cards. This one is the lowest, so there it goes. And we have red, red, and blue as our symbols here. And it looks like Mira is kicking things off for us here for 5 cards. Okay, 5 cards. She does have her stamina. She can choose to move. And now, interestingly, the targeting areas are going to be basically everywhere except right in front of the monster. So let's go ahead and just have her skedaddle over to the Syracuse area. And she doesn't have any reds. But we are going to try and give her some more cards by this card right over here. So let's see. Let's discard this one and that one to play Acrobatics. Oh, you know what? Actually, sorry. We need to discard that one to play Acrobatics. Now we need to be able to play a blue afterwards in order to resolve the draw 3 and move 1. Here we go. We got a blue right here. There we go. Called Shot, which lets us get rid of 1 token right here. There we are. And it has the aim keyword, and if we were in our burst mode over here on the mastery card, then it would actually buff our damage when we play a red card. But we're not doing that just yet. In fact, we are doing one thing first, though. Wing attack. The active player, if they're in the flank sector and they have no defense in their sequence, they suffer a damage. Well, we do have defense in our sequence, so we're good to go. All players in the flank sector reveal a green card from hand, or they suffer 1 damage. Now that, I don't know. Oh, you know what? We just got lucky. We actually do have a green card in hand, so we're good to go on that. And right now, she is the only one in a flank sector, so that works out okay. Let's draw 3 cards, and we may move. It says we may. I don't think I want to move. I think I'm going to actually stay exactly where I am. And I could play some attacks. But you know what? These all three, if we play one attack card, these are all going to trigger. That wouldn't be very good. Oh, but you know what? I just so happen to have played a card with the aim keyword, which means this aimed shot right here, if you play it after an aim card, inflict blind, and this shot gains stealth. So we won't have to worry about it. So let's do this. Let's pay this card and this card, put long range on top. There we go, because we don't want to suffer attrition damage. We're going to play aimed shot. And because aim was played previous to it, it is now going to inflict blind, and the shot gains stealth. So that's going to deal 1, 2, 3 damage, because we are in the Sierra K sector. Very cool. And then we get to inflict blind. Blind is somewhat like stun, but except you just basically treat the card as blank until the end of the round. I'm not sure which of these to pick. We'll say the middle. How about that? And it doesn't do that follow-up thing where you pick someone else, they get to deal bonus damage. So it's not as powerful as stun in a way, but it's still pretty good. Alright, so we got to deal some free damage over there to that beast, and we get to resolve volley 2 per our weapon. That's 1 and 2. Oh, wow, we actually got really lucky. I really probably shouldn't have resolved the volley 2 because we wanted long range to be on top. But look at this. We actually did volley 2 and ended up getting another copy of long range on top. So we really lucked out there. Okay. And last but not least, look at this. Backflip. You can only play backflip after playing a red card. The next time you refill your hand, draw 1 additional card. It costs 0 and gives us defense. Yeah, we're going to do that. Definitely so. So there we go. Perfect. All right, so when we fill back up, we're going to get to draw 6 cards, which is awesome. All right, we have 2 defense here. We saw the 3 already, so we're good to go. No matter what we draw from here, we are going to be A-okay. Okay, yep, it's a 1, so that's no problem. All right, discarding some cards. Here we go. Well, actually, we would have been A-okay because we had long range on there anyway, I guess. But here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, here we go. We finally drew the last card. That means you get to flip this card to its beast mode. There we go. Boom. At the start of your turn, you can volley 2. When you draw the last card, your deck deals 6 damage. So you just get to deal free damage to the monster. Alright, we are shuffling that. When you shuffle your deck, you have to deal yourself damage equal to your level. So level 1 card, going to give us a level or a 1 damage there. And we have our 6 cards here. We are ready to go. Perfect. Alright, Mr. Thoreg, my good man. Oh, and now naturally the monster will turn to face Mira. Mr. Thoreg is starting his turn with the Bathanus plant, so he's going to get 1 health there, which is great. Let's see. He wants to move, probably. Let's have him move by discarding this one. And he could move over here, but he's not going to be able to attack because that's the facing area. So maybe we'll move him to the back here. Back over with that tail that we were bopping away at. Let's see. Ooh, that's interesting. If we paid this card and this one, we could do Iron Blast, but we wouldn't be able to capitalize on it. Does she have any assist cards? Let's find out. She does. Let's actually have her assist him. So there we go. She's going to discard 1 card. She was 1 card ahead anyway. What do we got? Oh, look at that. 2 stamina over here. That's pretty good. I suppose what we could do is do this 2 right here. And this one right here. There we go. We are paying 4. Oh, you know what, though? No. Oh, man, that would be so awesome. If we were able to do this, where we play this after a blue card, like if we played Rapid Blow, we get to deal X additional damage, which is 2X additional damage, now that we're in our beast mode.
Do it.
You know what? We have to do it. I know Rapid Blow is great, but we got to do that. Alright, so we're playing our blue card, Rapid Blow, for 0, which is going to let us remove 1 of these tokens right there. And we get to deal our weapon damage over to the monster here. So our weapon damage to the monster is going to be 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. There we go. Alright, and then now we've played a blue, we could play Sledgehammer. Must be played after a blue card. Deal X additional damage or 2X additional. So we could do like Boom. Boom. So we do 4. That's going to deal 8 additional damage on top of the 3 damage this is already going to do. That's amazing. If I discard this card, it's only going to add another 2 damage to it. So I think what I'll do is I'll discard both of these right here. There we go. 2 damage there. Or 4... 2 damage. That's 4 stamina there. So 4 here. We're going to do the baseline of 3. And then we're going to add 4 times 2 is 8. So that's 11 damage here.
That's a lot of damage.
Which, look at this. It's actually at 10 health. That's going to knock it into phase 3. So we're popping it into 27 health for 28 there for the 10 damage. And then it's going to go ahead and get its phase 3 cards. Well, phase 2 was pretty short-lived, I must say.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Alright, he actually has 2 level 3 peril cards to keep an eye on. Alright, when revealed, place 1 fire terrain on each threatened sector. Well, no one is threatened because we have thankfully been moving around, so we're good on that. He is going to get the aggro token having played the sledgehammer card. But aside from that, we're doing pretty good. And the fun is not yet over. I haven't forgotten about my mastery card, don't you worry. Alright, place 1 fire terrain in each threatened sector. We don't have that. When a player moves, discard the topmost card of the behavior deck. If it has the claw trait, the player suffers a damage. Or at the end of each round, place 1 fire terrain on each threatened sector. So basically, you're kind of screwed if you do and screwed if you don't. If you move, then you might get damaged. And if you don't move, then you're getting fired, which is going to be problematic if you let that build up. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Wow. Very good. But look at this now. We have a blue and a red, which means that we get to resolve the stun ability. Oh, what shall we stun? Left or right? Let's go to the right. Here we go. Doing it to the right there. She only has 1 red card in hand. But hey, you know what? Every little bit of damage, I'm not going to turn my nose up at that. Right. Okay, so these cards are actually not going to resolve. So what was going to be resolving 3 cards against this is only going to resolve 1. Dragon's Wrath, Claw, and Firestorm. Okay, now interestingly enough, Claw is the trait that's a problem right now. Firestorm is not, because this trait has left play. Some traits like this will actually stay in play, where it has that little star right there. But notice here that this behavior that talks about the Firestorm trait does not have the star. So, that Firestorm, not going to bother us right there. Vyraxen immediately turns to the active player, place a fire in their sector. Well, the good news is, yeah, he is placing fire, which isn't great. But I'm basically done playing cards for the turn, so, you know, it's not that horrible. The active player suffers 1 fire damage unless they have a green in their sequence. I doubt I do. Yeah, probably not. Alright, so that's going to be 1 damage right there. Okay, perfect. Resolved. There we go. Okay, well, that's the end of his turn. It's time to check for attrition damage. He doesn't have any defense, so he's probably going to take some. Yep, he failed that attrition check. And actually, look at this. Now that he's in phase 3, he's dealing 2 attrition damage. Ooh, that's not great. No. No, it's not. Okay, but, alright. It's not great, but it's not actually the worst thing in the world either. Okay, so, the turn is over with. Let's discard his cards. He's going to draw back up 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. He's got his 5 cards in hand. And the round is over. So, drop that right there. Flip that fire to that side. At the end of the round, place 1 fire terrain on each threatened sector. We don't have any threatened sectors, so we're good to go on that. Okay. Moving right along, it's the start of the monster's turn. Now, we may want to drink our potions now, because look, we have a 1 up there, which means that if we drink our potions, we're getting the max amount of healing from it. So she's getting 4 healing, and he's going to get 4 healing. And suddenly, what went from dire circumstances now is like, okay, they're probably going to be okay. All right. And these tokens get to go away now. There we go. And last but not least, of course, let's give him his struggle tokens, which he's due, and get rid of the card with the lowest number, which is this 3. There we go. All right. Moving along, threatened aggro token here. He is starting in front of the monster, which means the monster is doing another frightful growl. Vyraxen is gaining 4 struggle tokens. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And he's getting +1 attrition damage till the end of the round. So he's going to be dealing 3 per attrition failure. Yikes, that's terrible. And this is a pretty toxic spread right here. If you play an attack card, all this stuff's going to trigger. So, oh my gosh. Wow. All right, well, looking over here, do you want to move, my good friend? It seems like something that would be in your interest to do. So, let's do this. Let's discard this one. There we go. And we are going to skedaddle over here to the comfort of the Bay Thanos. We do like the Bay Thanos. Yes, we do. Let's do this. Let's discard this tackle card to play Endeavor. Draw 1 card for each card in with Rampage trait in your discard pile. Well, most of our deck is in our discard pile at this point, so it should probably pay off pretty well. Let's find out. There's 1 Rampage trait. There's 2 Rampage traits. Okay, well, I guess it's going to give us 2. I guess our third one's in hand. Yep. So there we go. So that's going to let us draw 2 cards. That's 1, and then shuffle. He's dealing himself a damage, of course. That's 2. There we go. We got 2 cards here. Let's see. Here we go. If we pay for this card with blue, we get to draw 2 more cards. I think that's probably not a bad idea. So let's discard that to put this into play. There we are. Draw 1. If you paid with blue, draw 2. So 1 and 2. Now we could play this blue, which is going to deal some damage, which would be pretty good. Oh, we could do this to draw a bunch of cards, because he's got a bunch of those darn tokens that could give us as many options as we might ever possibly need. You know what? Let's do it. And it'll also keep us safe from attrition damage. So here we go. This green right there. There we go. Draw cards equal up to a limit of 5. It has more than 5, so we're going to take 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Oh my gosh. We got options. We have options. Oh my. Well, right now, unfortunately, this monster is really wanting to punish us if we play attack cards. So maybe I might want to go for this option instead right here. Perhaps. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to discard Thrusting to pay for Concussion right there. Boop. That's going to get me a Strain token, meaning I'll only draw back up to 4 when I do that. But let's go ahead and stun the beast. What do we want to stun here? Let's stun this one right there. And any red cards over here? Yep, you have 1 red card. So there we go. Perfect. And we get to play 1 card. Basically, there is a 5-card limit to your spread. You're only allowed to play up to 5 cards. You can't, like, have an infinite turn. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Let's play that one. Let's discard Frontal Assault to play Heavy Smash. Here we go. Remove 1 struggle token, which is actually 3 struggle tokens in our beast mode, which we are in. And we are going to be dealing damage to the monster here. So that's going to deal 1, 2, 3 damage to the monster. And we get to remove 3 struggle tokens. So let's get rid of those. And we also get to resolve the remainder of the cards here. So let's see. Actually, that's all that this one does. So there we go. Not too exciting. All right. Now, looking over at this, I mean, technically there's one other thing we could do here, but I think the way that the game wants you to resolve is you resolve the fullness of this card first before getting to resolve any other special stuff. So, unfortunately, oh, and since we moved, let's just double check this. We actually moved here, so hold on. We have to check for that claw trait. Let's see. Nope, no claw on there, so we're good to go on that. Okay. Let's see, at the end of the round, place it, yep. Okay, good. I'm not as used to this, these 2 particular traits, and so I'm trying my best to remember them, but there's a lot going on here, as you can see. Okay, so, yes, it's going to resolve this card, and then it's going to probably resolve that card. Let's see what we got. Quick Aggression Claw. The active player suffers 1 damage unless they have a yellow in their sequence. We have 2 yellows in our sequence, so we're good to go. Even though it's boosting that damage, that isn't going to do anything. All right. And then this card is going to trigger here, Flamethrower, Firestorm. Place a fire terrain in the front sector. Well, yes, there is already fire in the front sector, as you can see. So that's not a huge problem. And then it's going to discard 2 tokens, but no players are in the front sector. So I think we've battered this monster so bad, he's starting to get a little confused. He's a poor guy. All right, and then last but not least, we get to resolve another stun because we did play a blue and a red right there next to each other. So let us stun yet another card. How about maybe this one? And we get to deal 1 more damage, of course, because she still has that 1 shot right there. Perfect. I guess let's just end the turn. We got 3 defense over there, so we should be good to go. Yep, it is 2, but we have 3 defense, so we are just fine there. And then we discard the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then draw back up to 4 in this case because we are strained. Okay. Play proceeds over here to Miss Mira's turn. Is she going to move? I suppose she maybe should, unless she plans to spend a lot of... well, she could stay and just plans to put long range right over there. That's probably not a horrible idea. Yeah, you know what? Let's actually just have her stay where she... Oh, but it'll put fire... Ah, but that's not till the end of the round. Okay, we're good. We're good. Right, so he's actually set up Miss Mira to go, because look at this. He stunned both attack cards, so she's going to be able to attack without any worry about reprisal from the beast here. So, and we're patient, and our patience pays off with this card. Now that she's in her beast mode, it's going to deal an additional 7 damage right there. So, I suppose let's go ahead and just pay for that card. It's 3 stamina right there. That's 2 stamina generated here. We'll put long range right up there at the top. Oh, but before we forget, it's the start of her turn, so she gets to volley too. Let's go ahead and do that. Ah, no dice there. All right, perfect. There she is. She is long ranging, and we are doing a long ranged long shot, which is going to inflict blind. Look at this. This is amazing. We actually got stuff on all these cards. Woo, pretty great. All right, she's inflicted blind, and she's going to deal 2 damage for this, plus 7 is 9 damage. So that's going to bring this 21 down to 12. Those 1 and 2s are going to go ahead and swap places. Okay, very good. And then do we want her to do anything else? Well, let's actually let her keep her card right here, because if we did anything else, we'd have to pay for it, which would cover long range. We don't want that to happen because that's keeping us safe. So get a stamina token. Here we go. We're getting 2 attrition cards for being threatened. They're both going to be 1s in this case. Let me make sure to give her that token. Both are 1s, so that's no problem because we have long range, even if they were 28s or something. All right, and then we discard this card, and we draw back up to 5. There we go. Lovely. End of the round is beginning. There we go. And that fire is going to go away. And so are these tokens. There we go. Tokens, goodbye. All right, start of the monster's turn. Oh, and last but not least, of course, it turns to whoever has the token there. So, yep, it's obviously going to be Mr. Thoreg there because he is still the person with the aggro token. And last but not least, we do discard one of these cards with the lowest number. That's the blue. So there we go. All right, we have 12 health left, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can do this. I think we can. Start of the turn, I am in Baythanis land, so I get to rub some Baythanis balm all over my muscular body here to get a little bit of healing. Does she have any assist keywords? She does not. Fascinating. So do I want to move? If I move, I might be getting clawed. But if I stay, I might be getting fire. Oh, speaking of which, she didn't move. So at the end of the round, fire is in her section. There we go. I'm remembering. I'm learning slowly but surely. Yes. Well, I suppose... Does she have any red cards? She does. Let's just finish this off, shall we? I'm going to discard 1, 2, and 3. 3 cards right there. This +1 damage there is gone, thankfully so. I'm going to discard these 3 to pay for this Iron Blast card. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. And, yes, so I think that's what we'll do. There we go. 3 cards paid for this card played. That's going to deal 3 damage right up there, but this also says deal 2 times weapon level additional damage, so it's 5. And if you play it as opening, which is the first card in your spread, which it clearly is, inflict the vulnerable condition on the monster. So, I don't know which of these tokens is technically meant to represent it, but I'll put this right over here. That means that the next damage done to this monster this round is going to deal double. So, that won't apply to the 5 we just did right here, so bringing it down to 7. But the next shot, perhaps from our character over there, will deal double damage, which is awesome. Okay. So there we go. We've played our card, and, well, that's that. So I guess we'll get a threatened token, because we didn't move. And we're going to start resolving some of these attack cards. Here we go. Claw. The active player suffers a damage unless they have yellow in their sequence, which is going to be 2 damage right there. All right. 1, 2. Nope, no yellows in the sequence, so that's that. Here we go. Dragon's Wrath, Claw, and Firestorm. Vyraxen immediately turns the active player, place a fire in their sector. Thankfully, we're done playing cards for the turn, but otherwise, that could have perhaps disrupted a combo. And I suffer 1 fire damage unless I have a green in my sequence, and I do not. So 1 fire damage right there. Okay, and then the last but not least, we have to take our damage here. So that is the final thing. Unless this is a 0, which I don't think it is because it's the last card in the deck. We are probably going to have to say goodbye to our friend over here unless she can help him. Nope, she sure can't. All right, it's a 2. Yep, so he's going to take 2 damage right there, which is going to actually take out Mr. Thoreg on the final turn of him there. So he basically, like, just went out like a beast. You know, he did his final bit and set up our character over here for perhaps some amazing turnage here. All right. There we go. His turn's over with. So now it's time to go to Miss Mira. I think that the aggro token by default goes over to this other character. I think, like when someone's knocked out and they had the aggro token. I'm not quite sure on that. I'll try and look it up, but I think that's the case. And if that's the case, then the monster turns to look at Mira at the end of Mr. Thoreg's turn. Okay. All right, well, first and foremost, we could stay or we could decide to skedaddle. I think we had better skedaddle because we're in a place with fire anyway, which wouldn't help us to be able to do anything useful. So she is paying 1 stamina to move there. Now, of course, before we forget, let us go ahead and check to see if there's a claw keyword. There sure is right here on this quick aggression. So he ended up scraping us with a claw there. Ugh. That's not good. She did move, though, so threatened token is gone. There we go. Now it's time to play here. I suppose what we will do... Let's discard this... Oh, it's the start of her turn, so we could volley 2. Let's do that. 1, 2. Ah, it's too bad that these weren't in opposite order and put long range up there for us. That's okay. I suppose, let's do this. Let's pay this green card to play this yellow, which is going to let us draw another card right here. Took that way over there. Look at this. We got 2 attacks here. Yes, and if we play a card with aim before this, this shot gains stealth. Now, we actually just played a defense card from hand, so it lets us recycle this reload card, and let's certainly do that. I was hoping it gave us something with aim, but actually, it does give us what we need here, potentially. If we wanted to draw some cards, no, it'd be too much. I'd have to get rid of both of these to play this and then play that. I'm not going to be able to do that right now. Maybe I'll keep these together in case we go another round, and then from there we can, we go from there. But for right now, I think let's go ahead and shoot this beast right here. There we go. Cover fire, which is going to deal our baseline level of damage right there, which is 2. But it's double damage because vulnerable. It's too bad I didn't have one of those higher damage cards over there. But, it's okay. All right, another thing that happens because this is a red card, we get to do volley 2. So let's see here. 1, 2. Oh, there we go. That's right. Boop, boop. Bringing it down to 1. And just 1 more damage here. So in that case, let's just close out the game. We're going to spend this to play aimed shot. Here we go, which is going to deal 2 damage right there. Boom, boom, and then we'd volley and so on and so forth. Catching that final shot from another angle here. Oh, look at that! She even went for the 360 no-scope. What a legend. Okay, we did it, everybody. We took down the Vyraxen dragon. Yes, Thoreg fell at the very final turn there, but I think overall he did a pretty good job of contributing to the war effort there. Some cursory thoughts before I continue, or before I give... I'm not really going to give, like, my full thoughts on the full game and what I envision for it, because this scenario is the intro scenario. So there's only, like, 3 little terrains. They do pretty simple stuff. It's like, if you're in this section, do this thing. And the effects are pretty simple. You heal 1 if you start here, or you deal extra damage here, that sort of stuff. And as far as, like, the actual equipment cards, the helm and the body armor and the hammer and all that, they only do very simple stuff. Whereas over here, I could see there's text on, like, these different gear things that probably broaden your tactical choices and the responses you can do. and probably increase the complexity of the actual deck management itself. Overall, though, I am pleasantly surprised by the game. Even for this one, which is the intro scenario, where the monster is, does what it does, and it doesn't do a whole lot of crazy stuff. There are some things that are tough for me to remember when I'm zoomed into my boards over here. In a tabletop capacity, I'd I have like little card standers basically, and I would probably put the card stander up right here, and that would show, whenever I resolved it, it would be right there next to my hand to remind me, oh, by the way, when you trigger these cards, resolve the chomping text, But, so for the digital interface, it's a little bit trickier to do those types of things in my brain while I'm trying to juggle two characters, remember what cards they have and what I'm planning to do with them, all that sort of fun stuff. But I am pleasantly surprised. I really was, I like the fire thing, not just necessarily being, okay, you just take fire damage sometimes. I like the fact that it has the potential to disrupt your card combos. I also like the fact that you could sort of like learn the monster as you go. So like with these red cards, I think there's 2 or 3 of them that have this ability where if you have the yellow in the sequence, then you basically negate the card. And you don't have to worry about it. And as you sort of remember that going forward, then you can kind of plan your plays around those sorts of things. Here's another one right there. So overall, I think that's a pretty cool idea. It sort of symbolizes you like learning the monster in a way. And I always like to feel as though when you fight these things more than once, you kind of get better at fighting them and fighting around their trickiness, so to speak. One thing we didn't get to show was we didn't get to trigger this tail card. It's really bad before you break the tail. Here you go. Players in the rear sector suffer 3 damage unless you have a green in their hand. But if you have hit the tail objective complete, this card has no effect and the Vyraxen suffers 5 damage instead. I imagine that's probably pretty easy to arrange in like a 4-player game to have somebody back there when it's time to do that. For a 2-player, I found it to be a little bit tough to do, but the fact that this objective doesn't just deal damage and that's the end of it, the fact that it actually affects the deck itself here as well, makes me feel like, okay, maybe there's a little more to just the... When I heard there was only 9 AI cards, for instance, I'm like, well, wait a minute, aren't you just going to be able to memorize them? And then you could kind of go, oh, like this one. This one, there's only 1 card that happens at the end of the round. That's always going to be the same. There's only one of these that's always going to be the same. There's only one of these that's always going to be the same. In any case, you'd be able to memorize the boss and go, oh, that's card, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I know what that's going to do. So in order to counterplay it, I'm going to do this, 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 and that. Obviously, this is like a level 1 monster, so of course, you'll be able to do that. I don't know if you'll be able to necessarily, like, solve, shall we say, the other monsters quite as easily. But, I guess that's part of the reason why we might want to do another episode with this guy, the Toramat, which is also a level 1 monster, but he's got a bit more going on. He actually has a secondary deck of cards with different symbols on them, like the star. He actually has this little spinny symbol, which maybe that means, like, when, I think that actually means when the monster turns. Like, when the monster rotates, then it would resolve this card. Yeah, and then, like, these, I think, maybe shuffle in later in the scenario, that sort of thing. So, the 9-card standard here is not necessarily as static as I would have suspected it was, which is really good. Also, I like the fact, even with the red cards, these ones here, yeah, so 2 of them, they all have the 4 on them, and technically this red card does something different. It's the one that puts the fire out and that. So they're all at 4, so even your memorization for some of these things only goes so far, because when you're just shuffled the deck and you haven't seen any red cards, you don't know if it's the one where you have the yellow in hand and you can ignore it, or this one where he's about to put fire into your terrain and cut off your turn. So, that sort of thing. I also really like the characters' individual decks and their strengths. I like the aim keyword here, like this aimed shot, having aimed before it gives extra stuff. The rampage stuff, it came into play sometimes. I kind of thought it might do something a little bit more than just let you draw additional cards sometimes. But I guess it does. There is a card in here that lets you, like, pull a card with the rampage trait from your deck. I don't think I saw any type of effect like that from her deck, so that might be pretty unique to him. But yeah, I'll save my full final thoughts on what I think about it and whether or not I plan to late back it after we watch one of the battles with these. So I will be back, and I will be playing that guy. I think it has to do with the different types of terrain, too. So we're going to have, like, a rock you can climb on. I think this rock lets you, like, jump on top of the monster at some point. Then rocks and sand and so on. But really excited for that. I don't know how quickly I'll be able to get that video out, but I do want to get it out sooner rather than later, so hopefully we'll be able to get that done. And curious to see what these other new little effects and weapon abilities do, and see how they change up and compare to how we played these characters this time, and see if, like, okay, is it just the same but with a little bit more, or do the new weapons and the new gear really offer, like, more opportunities and broaden the options. So we'll be able to compare, I think, more in a more transparent form next time once we see some of those things on and get an idea of what the full game might have in store. Okay, well, thank y'all so much for listening to my ending rambling there, and of course for watching the playthrough. Hopefully you got to pick up some idea of what the game is if you were unfamiliar with it. And maybe it looks like right up your alley, which is awesome. If so, late pledge is still open. If you're still holding out, saying, I don't know, it still looks like a card game, you know, then maybe the next episode might change your mind or might make you double down. I guess, I don't even know. I guess we'll find out together. But I hope you all have a good rest of your evening, and take care.